Yo, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing? I hope you guys having a good day, good night, good week, great weekend, whichever day of the week it is. I hope you guys are doing all right. So I figured I'd just jump right into this. For those of you guys who don't know, Elyon closed beta test for North America and Europe is coming out this upcoming week, May 6th through 10th. If you guys want some giveaways, or if you guys want some keys and you guys weren't able to get in, don't worry. I've got like 30 or so extra keys now to give away. We just gave away about like, honestly, we gave away anywhere between 10 to 20 keys on stream last night, and it was a lot of fun. For those of you guys who missed it, don't worry, we got another 30 keys to give away, and boom, here's a key right now. So hopefully when you guys are able to get that, good luck to whoever gets it. And yeah, so a lot of people have been obviously having questions about Elyon, asking if it's worth it, what kind of game it is, how good or how bad it is, all these bunch of questions. And then obviously you have some players asking like, just what do I do when I get into the game? Have no fear, I'll be going through it. There's been a lot of videos coming out recently about it, of course, and a lot of people are asking my opinion because I played the game. I played the Korea release. I played for, I want to say, about 3-4 months as hardcore, from December to about February. So that's about 3 months of just like non-stop playing it on stream, putting in hours and hours in the game. So I felt like, I guess now it's time to make a video about it. So I want to preface this video with saying some of this stuff, some of the opinions of the game may not obviously be what everybody thinks of the game. Most of the opinions will come from my personal experience of putting hours into the game, playing it in a casual setting and a hardcore setting, as well as coming from opinions from former guildmates of mine that I've talked to, that I've been in guilds with, that have played this game, that still play this game to this day. And also just based off of like different opinions on Invin as well. So I'm going to be coming out with a few videos. I was just gonna make one giant video, but I really don't want to make an hour-long video. So instead, the way this is gonna work is this video is just gonna kind of just go over Elyon in general. It's gonna have some pros and cons, and then the next few videos that are coming out across this week will be more specific. I'll have a video dedicated to exactly like how the gear progression works. I'll have a video that explains the variety of builds and how build varieties come to be. You know, that will go more along the lines of explaining the skills, the various ways you can change how a skill reacts and things of that nature, or how a skill interacts with basically the how a skill interacts based off of the different skill variations you can have and things of that nature. And then afterwards, I'll go into like right before or leading up to the beta, right before the beta comes out, we'll have a video that kind of explains what to do, how to level, and what to do once you reach a decent amount of level, So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Before we get into all the different content in the game, I did want to go over the classes, at least at the base. We're going to have another video that kind of goes a little bit more in depth on the variety of skills and how classes can change the way they play and all the things like that. But I figured the first video, might as well at least talk about the classes, right? So let's go ahead and start off with the first class, Slayer. So he is a great sword wielding beast of a class. Currently in PvP in Korea, Warlord and Slayer are two of the strongest classes in PvP. Slayer dashes around, uses blood-like skills. He can also summon these clones to attack with him. He does take health to use some of the skills, but he can easily get HP back. He has a lot of protection, a lot of CC. Overall, just a really good class. He does have a few skills that has AoE. One of his signature skills that you'll see a lot of Slayers use is he throws like these blood swords out and they come back in, and it's really strong. But the thing about it is that he has a long cooldown on it. But because of the different build paths and build variations that you can do, there is a way to lower that cooldown, so he can kind of spam it in a way. But it's a pretty fun class. Really strong. It does take a while to get to a point of strength, because he does require a high skill point, which requires you to upgrade certain parts of your gear to be able to get more skill points. But yeah, so that's Slayer. In this game, there is no gender or race lock. Every class can be any race. So you have human, you have elf, you have a little animal, and you have orcs. You can be male and female for every race but the animal. The animal, you can't be any specific race, any specific gender. But that's because once you go into the animal character creation, there's different types of animals for you to be that you choose once you're actually inside of the character creation part. So it's kind of cool. Let's go to the next class. Warlord. Warlord is this giant hammer holding, shield bearing beast of a class as well. He has various different skills. He has skills that makes use of the hammer, that skills that really make use of the shield. He has a spin to win. He has a ground pound. He has a, throw your hammer up in the air, have it drop down and do a lot of damage. He has a I'm gonna hold my shield and you can't touch me kind of thing as well. He has a lot. This class, while it's the tank of a class, the tank for your game for this game when it comes to dungeons and whatnot, he can also do damage. There are builds for damage. There are a few skills that just do an absurd amount of damage as well when mixed up with the right build pathing. He also has a pool, as you can see in the video there. There's a few classes that have various different types of pools with the lasso or with the hand. But yeah, so this is Warlord. Again, any race, any gender. Just when you are the animal, you don't choose a gender because there's different types of animals for you to choose in the character creation screen. But yeah, they're all pretty sick. I love how I just realized all the races for him, they come out holding the giant hammer, right? But then when you choose the animal, he's like dragging it around, which is great. I love it. But yeah, so that's your Warlord class. So if you want to be a tank, this is, well, the tank class. Next, we go with Elementalist. This is your magic caster, witch wizard type class. He uses elements of fire, lightning, and ice. They have, all the classes have, this class definitely has some really good mobility in AoE. It can do, right now, PVE Elementalist is really good. But PvP is pretty good as well. The classes, in my opinion, is a pretty good spot. If you were to try to balance, oh, sorry, let me not talk about that actually. All in all, Elementalist is a really solid class. Honestly, all the classes do pretty well in different areas, sort of. It's just that the devs are very active when it comes to balancing and nerfing and making changes. So I would suggest you just pick a class that looks cool and looks fun to you and play through it, because there might be times where the class might not be that great, but I promise you the devs so far, based off of what they've done, what they've been doing, there's going to be times where that class is really strong as well. You just kind of got to play through the weak times to get to the strong times for different classes. A good example of that would be this next class, Mystic. Mystic at one point was incredibly strong, like very strong. They're still pretty strong with different builds, but it is a class that right now it's not crazy strong anymore. There are certain builds that make it pretty good. PvE wise though, it seems to be doing just fine. People that I've talked to, and then videos we've seen of them completing the 50th floor of the challenge within like 13 seconds or something like that, which I think only a couple classes can do right now. But yeah, PvP wise, this is or just in general, this is your support class. It's the healer, but it does provide quite a good amount of CC as well as damage. Should you choose to go a damaging route, you can definitely do so. So have no fear. In this game, while you have a tank and healer, you can do damage with any of the class as well. There's a lot of build variety. I will go through that in another video though. This video is just going to be talking about the content of the game and just introducing you to Elyon. Again, every race, every gender. The animals, you can choose what type of animal you are once you go into once you go to the next phase of character creation. Assassin. Assassin's my favorite class. I mean, the assassin or rogue type class has always been my favorite in every video game. So there's no doubt that I've definitely played this class from the beta onwards. KR live servers, I played him as well. So assassin makes use of stealth, goes in and out of stealth. He can be played various different ways. He can be played as a ranged class. You can play him as a melee version. You can play him as a non-stop CC type build where you're just constantly trying to CC players with different skills. And then you can play him as a quick bursty, go in, do quick damage, and get the heck out kind of thing. There's so many different ways to play. All the classes you can play in many different ways. There's so many different skill variations that can change the way you play them. But yeah, Assassin is probably the one that I have the most knowledge on because that's my main. So I probably will explain more on I probably have explained more on Assassin than the other classes. That's just because that's my main. It's what I know most. He makes use of stealth. He or she makes use of coming in and out of stealth to get in and out of combat, which can proc various buffs as well as, well, I mean, reset the fight if you need to. There is a lot of AoE in the game though, so sometimes it's kind of hard to go into stealth and reset the fight because if you get hit while you're in stealth, you reset. Alright, so the next one. The final one is Gunner. Gunner is a class that has a lot of stuff in his kit. He has a lot of AoE, but he can also kite really well. I mean, it's a gunner. His main hand and offhand are just weapons, are like basically just guns. But the thing is, as you can see in the video, he makes use of so many different types of guns, whether it be shotguns, rifles, these laser orbs around him. But don't worry, you still only have one main hand and one type of offhand that you upgrade. So you don't have to worry about needing many different types of guns. It's just the skills use different guns, but you only use one main hand and one type of offhand when it comes to upgrading gear. Again, different race, different genders. There's no lock to it. Gunner can go in stealth with certain skill variations as well. Elementalist can use stealth as well, but it's only like half a second or something of that nature, so it's not that much. Gunner and Assassin are the two that can go in stealth the most. But yeah, so that is your classes. Currently right now, Warlord and Slayer are the two most considered OP classes in PvP. Slayer though needs a lot of skill points, so you're not just gonna be like the beginning just be OP with him. Well actually, okay, against other players that don't know how to play against it, you might be really strong, but against like decent players, it definitely is gonna take some gearing to get to a point of being really strong currently in Korea. But again, the devs are really quick with making changes, or very active with making changes, I should say. So what might be OP now in a month from now might completely change. A big thing of that was Assassin. Assassin took a little bit to get going against higher tier players, but once you got enough gear and stuff, it was really, really strong. Like OP at one point, borderline broken. Things have changed. A couple months later, it's not as good anymore. It's still okay, but you know, and his PVE used to always be ass. Now his PVE is actually pretty good, but his PvP is still pretty bad. Well, oh, sorry, it's not bad necessarily, but it's definitely not as good as it used to be. But yeah, so these are the classes. There is rumors to be a 7th class coming out called Archer. Think Archer from Terra. There was some leaked photos somewhere on Invin that I saw. No, for those of you guys who come from BDO, no, I didn't data mine anything. I'm just saying what was shared on Invin. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe we'll see more of those in the future. Maybe they'll announce it really soon. That'd be really cool if they were to announce Archer. As much as I love Assassin classes, I do love Archery classes as well. So I would definitely love to check that out if they do. See how that class works. Alright, so the first part is content. This game has a lot of content, and a lot of it is PvE with the option of PvP being in there. Okay, so the first content that is only PvE, no PvP, are dungeons, right? Dungeons are the only, essentially the only like closed instances to where you can only do it with the people you go in with, either solo dungeons alone, or 5-man. There are 5-man dungeons that you can use. You know, you can either queue up for, or you can just join a party and go in together. You have this weekly challenge mode, which is basically you have 50 levels, and each level is like a different boss or a couple mobs that are harder and harder, and you gotta kill them, and you receive rewards, which is pretty cool. You then have these other dungeons, solo dungeons called Transcendence dungeons. Basically, you go through each room, and you have a certain time limit, but each specific Transcendence dungeon has a special effect, such as some of them might be poison, there might be another one that's like a wind that constantly knocks you back and will increase the time it takes to complete the dungeon. In order to kind of counteract those like effects from each dungeon, there's special crystals or runes that you can put into your gear. So it's typically recommended that you kind of need to get those runes to be able to do the different transcendent dungeons. There's other content in the game that you can do that I guess that brings to the next content is dimensional portals. This is going to be, you can get various items through the dimensional portals, including, but not limited to, those special transcendent runes that's going to help you in those transcendent dungeons. So if you want to do those transcendent dungeons, you're going to be grinding these dimensional portals when you can, when they're open, so you can use those runes for those dungeons. I will go back to dimensional portals in a second. Let me just go back to talk about dungeons. Again, there are solo dungeons, and then there are dungeons you can queue with party members. The queue with party members dungeons, as you can see, they've changed this to where now basically there's different functions, but there's different difficulties as well. The higher the difficulty unlocks with higher level. But if you look here where my cursor is, this is the item level recommended. So the higher the difficulty, of course, the more gear you would want, and you can you can join in solo, or you can just join in if you're in a party without having to queue up. So let's just say it's you and like 3 other members or 2 other friends, and you guys don't want to have to look for a party, and you guys just want to try to do it without a party. You can, or you can just try and queue up and look for a group, or pug it, I guess you can say, if you play WoW. And then you just like queue into it just like a regular queue, and you wait to find party members that are queuing as well. Dungeons are a good source of money, especially in the beginning of the game. Definitely in the beginning of the game, to be honest. When you are first starting out, you definitely want to make sure you do your dailies and your dungeons every day to make some decent money at the start. Again, there's solo dungeons and party dungeons. The only difference is that in party dungeons, you can receive, pretty much there's different perks for doing party dungeons. As you can see, these are the rewards here. And the party dungeons can receive higher tier versions of various rewards that you could potentially get in the solo dungeons as well. And there are special dungeons that can drop this purple key, which will allow you to do the speed run versions of those dungeons. And basically the speed run versions, they're solo dungeons, but if you kill it within a certain time, you can receive more rewards. So it's like one of those things where it's like, if you have gear and you like to do speedrun type stuff, there is a way to be rewarded for speedruns or speedrun versions of dungeons. Okay, let's go back to dimensional portals. Like I said earlier, the way to do some of these transcendent dungeons is you need a special transcendent rune to counteract the effects of the dungeon. And in order to get those, you can get those through dimensional portals. Dimensional portals are pretty much different instance grind zones, but they're open world in the sense of anybody can get there, but you do have to use a teleportal to get to that area. You can't just run there from an open world. So you have to go, and there's different teleporters in the various areas, in the various zones on the map, like this teleporter here, which will take me to a specific transcendent dungeon, or dimensional portal, I'm sorry. It'll take me to a specific dimensional portal. As you can see here, there are many different dimensional portals. They have different level requirements to enter, as well as or different level recommendations, as well as different level requirements to enter, right? So for example, this level 46 one, I have to be level 46 to enter, otherwise I can't go. This level 49 one, apparently it's going to let me join, which is kind of interesting. That one's new. I'm not done this one yet. But yeah, these are the different portals. Now, dimensional portals are kind of special in a way. They are you're only allowed to do a certain amount of hours of dimensional portals a week, but they are separated. So this left side, if you look on the upper left hand side, this text basically says you can do 1 hour of these a day. Okay, and if you scroll to the right, there is a right hand side of versions to where now these dimensional portals you can only do 10 hours a week total. The reason behind that is because not only can you get various items in the different dimensional portals that are pretty nice, but also you have to use dimensional portals to get EXP for a system called Sephiroth, which gives you which you can use it's like a skill point type skill tree that gives you various buffs and debuffs, or sorry, not debuffs, so various buffs and actives that we will get into in a future video. This pretty much, just to kind of give you an overview, these allow you to change the way that your class can play, whether it be to get more defensive stuff like shields, right? Shields pretty much just being exactly what it sounds like, a shield for you. It absorbs some damage. Or it can help you with various types of attacks, such as AoE grounded attacks, like you can see in the video right there. Right, so that's a skill that a few classes can use skills very similar to that, including Assassin, which is the class that I play. And this will increase the damage or the critical hit for those very specific skills, right? Then you have poisons, and this can help increase damage of poisons by adding extra damage over time to it. Then you have stuff that can help you with mobility. Maybe when you dash, a future or previous ones that you used to have is when you dash, you can get 100% crit for a few seconds, or if you dash, you won't use mana for a few seconds. Different things like that. So this pretty much just helps change the way that or helps a specific playstyle that you want to play. And you can reset this. It costs about 50,000 gold to buy an item that you would need to use to reset this. So if you ever want to respec, you can. It can get kind of expensive to a point, especially in the beginning, because you're not making as much money in the beginning of the game. But later on, 50,000 gold is not that much. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's going to be in a future video when I explain the various ways to change your build and how you can change the way a class plays. But I just wanted to kind of talk about it because that's what dimensional portals are mainly for, is to be able to get the EXP that you need to level up and get more skill points for the Sephiroth tree. Oh, something sold. Oh no, that's for being logged in. Pog. What are these? You toss it in dimensional portals, you use them. Fried chicken? Oh my god, this is a sign I need to get fried chicken today. I was just gonna start recording this video, but I think I gotta get some Korean fried chicken today, guys. Instant healing. You would get 50% health back. Dude, that's... I've fought against players in PvP, and that thing is so annoying to try to deal with sometimes. Especially when it's a really close match and somebody pops it and you're just like, oh man. Okay, so... I definitely got sidetracked in the beginning. Okay, so basically, let's see. We talked about dailies. We talked about dungeons. We talked about dimensional portals. Alright. Okay, so basically, some of the other content in the game for PvE, we'll continue with PvE first and then we'll go to PvP after, is pretty much when you log in, you get login rewards, right? Every day after you've been logged in for 60 minutes, you receive these, I think they're called Laurel Wreath currency. I usually just call them PVE currency, because basically what it is you get 30 of them every day, which means you can buy 2 loot scrolls a day, right? They last for 30 minutes each, so it's like an hour's worth of loot scrolls. Or you can buy other stuff that help you with, see, these will help you enter into the Transcendent dungeons. This key will allow you to enter certain other dungeons. This key you can use to craft an RNG breakthrough item box. So pretty much an RNG box for an item. And this is used to craft some other stuff. So you can use it for various things. Mostly people will buy like loot scrolls for them and all that stuff. Let's okay. So that's kind of what that is, which means every day you can grind for at least an hour with loot scrolls. Loot scrolls are really good. They increase your money by a huge margin. So it's definitely something worth doing. PvE in this game is, or grinding in this game is basically just aggroing a bunch of mobs together and killing them. There is no aggro limit, but there is a reset limit, like a distance reset. If you go too far, as you can see there, the mobs will reset. So you kind of want to be cautious. And then certain skills only can attack or can only do damage to a certain amount of mobs at a time. Right? So because of that, you kind of have to be cautious of how many mobs you are aggroing. Because, you know, sometimes all your skills might not hit, which is fine in my opinion, because if you kill the mobs, they're already right there, so it's fine. The biggest thing is being cautious of how far you go to aggro the next pack, because you'll like lose aggro on some other mobs if you go too far. So that's PvE. Something about PvE that something about grinding that I want to mention is that there are these zones called conflict zones. Basically, they're the zones that are on the border of your faction and your enemy faction. And these are conflict zones because pretty much your faction's guards will be fighting enemy faction guards in these conflict zones. I'm gonna lower the audio really quick because I feel like it's a little too loud for me. Okay, there we go. So these conflict zones pretty much has your your faction guards versus enemy faction guards. They're also where faction wars take place, but I'll talk about that later. Conflict zones typically have the higher trash loot when it comes to like mobs and money per hour. When you're grinding, they'll have the better trash loot in the conflict zone because it's kind of like this whole you're risking PvP against the enemy faction, so they want to increase the reward potential when you're grinding. So if you guys are trying to make the best money per hour, it might be worth to consider grinding in these conflict zones versus grinding further away from it. So the closer you are to the border of the enemy faction, the better trash loot the mobs give. Now keep in mind that doesn't always equate to more money per hour, because if you take too long to kill the mobs, it might be better still grinding somewhere else. That might give less money per trash loot, but you can kill them a lot faster. So it's kind of got this balance to it. And of course, if you're with friends, then obviously you guys pop loot scrolls, go to the conflict zones. They're harder. They might be harder to kill, but you have more people to kill them, and you kill them faster. Pop loot scrolls, you guys are getting trash loot, so you guys make good money that way. Okay, so that's grinding. Then you have dailies. Dailies are in all the main cities, or all the cities. You can get dailies through the how do I put it? Getting dailies through different NPCs that'll give you dailies. All the different cities or areas that you can get dailies from will have different rewards. Like this specific area will get the main reward or these blue things here. But if I were to go to another area here, now they have a whole completely different reward, right? The other reward for them are these orbs, these green orbs. And the green orbs, along with there's like a blue version, a purple, and a yellow version. You can get these orbs doing various different tasks in game. And you can exchange them for tier 4 artifacts or tier 4 versions of your skills. I haven't really touched on skills a lot yet because I'm trying to make an entire video on it, but I will just go over the basics part of it. Is that you have about 24 different skills with 4 different variations of that individual skill, right? So what that means is if you use it, you can have a different variation that can change the way that skill operates. Sometimes it goes from having a melee skill to then giving it some range to it. Or it can go from just having a skill that's like just a regular skill to like allowing you to TP to somebody from it, or giving it more damage, or giving it CC, or giving it mobility. There's different things that the variations can do to a skill. In order to unlock the tier 4 versions, the tier 4 versions, those are the more rare versions to get. You have to either get them through all these different daily and different ways of grinding, getting these orbs, and then exchanging them for the tier 4 skill you want. The other way actually brings me into my next part of the content, are field bosses. So these field bosses here that you can see, they're like marked with these red diamonds around the map. There we go. You can see them here, these red diamonds around the map, and they're different areas. You have at least 1 or 2 different field bosses. They can drop these skill books that you can use to get a tier 4 skill as well. They can also drop different rune stones or crystals, some weapon armor stuff, as well as these clocks that you can use to help with upgrading your gear. So they can drop various different things. And so there are players that will spend all day trying to run a train, constantly doing the field bosses. Now, field bosses in this game are kind of unique in a way. I'm going to go to a field boss that I know is almost always up, so I can show you kind of like what it looks like. But to be honest, now that I think about it, they changed it. Originally, field bosses, you should drop specific tier 4 skills. But now you can get a book, and you can just choose what tier 4 skill you get, it looks like. And if that's the case, this field boss might not be up. We can check and see, though, because, I mean, it's worth a shot, right? Let's go see. I remember I used to solo this field boss a lot. Yeah, see, it's not up. Most likely, people are using it in a train now that, now that tier 4 skills are just from you can get it from, every field boss. You just get that book instead of a specific tier 4 skill. All these bosses are probably going to be down now. So the way that field bosses work, though, is that pretty much you get a... while you're grinding in the area of where the field boss will spawn, you can get a scroll. It's called like the breath of something. And pretty much the name of the field boss is breath. And what happens is this field boss, when it respawns, he's in a petrified state. You can't attack it. You can't. He won't take any damage. You have to actually unpetrify him by interacting with this little statue here, with that scroll that you got from grinding in the area. It'll make the boss unpetrified, and now you're able to attack it, and he can attack you. Once you kill it, it's just up to 3 random players will receive drops from it. It's not a lot of players that can get drops. Unfortunately, they changed it because originally it was the top 3 damage percent parties can get drops, but they've changed it now just due to the fact that a lot of players were complaining. Like, some players were solo players, and some players just didn't have much gear, so they were complaining. And I'll be honest, I don't think it was worth complaining. At the time, I was playing a lot solo, and I was still able to get among the top 3% or the top 3 damage parties. I was also able to easily find people to invite me to a party because there were other solo players. I'd spam invite everybody, and I'd get a party going. So there were ways around the whole like not having a party of your own, but it is what it is. The devs made a change, and it sucks, but it is what it is. So now only 3 people can get drops from the boss, just in general. There is kind of a upside is that they also added whoever summons the boss guaranteed gets loot as well. So if you summon the boss, you can get some loot as well, which is kind of nice. But that also means everybody is literally spamming like a minute before it gets spawned. Everybody is sitting here spamming F to try to interact with it first. Summon it. But yeah, so that's bosses. That's field bosses. There are also world bosses that can spawn. You'll have a huge announcement at the top of your screen. And then they'll also have like a blue or a purple little diamond icon on the minimap somewhere. It usually spawns in conflict zones because it's like a world boss will spawn and you can attack it, your faction can attack it, but the enemy faction can attack it as well. So it's kind of got this PVE VP kind of feel to it, like almost everything else in the game, to where If you want to attack it, you can, but just know the enemy faction's going for it as well. So you gotta kill the enemy faction while you're fighting it, because the last person to hit it, whoever kills it, that faction gets it. So you have to kind of like make sure when it gets low that you guys are able to kill it before the enemy faction does. Okay, so that's bosses, and the world bosses can drop pretty good loot. They can drop really good items. They can drop skill point. I believe they can also drop tier 4 skills, skill books, and things of that nature. Yeah. The other kind of PVE content that I haven't mentioned yet, I did go over dungeons, but I didn't mention there are some dungeons that you can enter through open world. Like, you have to actually go to it. You can't queue for it. There's solo dungeons. The ones that I mentioned that you can get a key for with these daily currency. This key will allow you to go to those dungeons, and that dungeon gives you specific accessories. So if you want to farm certain accessories, you would go to that dungeon. It's pretty easy. It's a solo dungeon, and it was pretty easy to kill. Okay, so the next content is actually, before I go on to these treasure maps, actually, let's talk about event quests. There are random event quests that can spawn in the open world. Let me go and see if this event quest is... I actually just walked past one earlier, so let's see if it's here. But basically, there are event quests that can spawn in the open world. They have, like, set places where they can spawn, and they are... And they have also, like, how do I call it? Looks like it's actually, it's actually been taken. Sadly. But there's event quests that can spawn in the open world, and they have their specific locations that they can spawn. And basically you can interact with it, and it has like a respawn time on it. But you can interact with it to receive to do the quests and receive rewards. They're usually the quests that are marked with the orange kind of outline of square. Like this right here is actually an event quest. I can start it. I don't know if I can do it, but we can try it. Yeah, see, I interact with this tree, and basically what happens is I have to kill the tree, right? And while I'm killing the tree, mobs will come and spawn and try to kill me. And it's like harder and harder mobs will come. But yeah, so I basically have to kill the tree. Oh no. At some point, there are certain mobs that come that are like that make the tree like literally invincible. And am I dead? Yeah, they make this tree literally invincible. So you have to attack it. Okay, here we go. Now I can kill it. Usually this is meant to be done in like a group. But if you have enough gear, you can solo it. Sometimes it's easier. Once you get more and more gear, it becomes easier and easier. But it just depends on where your gear's at. So when you do these when you do these event quests that spawn in the open world, you'll receive these little books and other items that you can turn in for various items, right? So these books, when I get 70 of them, I can get a tier 3 upgrade stone for my weapon or armor. Actually, no, I think it's just weapon. I can get that, or I can get, excuse me, these clocks. So some people will actually spend their time farming the event quests all day to get these free upgrade stones. So that's another part of, like, I guess, content that you can do in the game that's open world. And then the other last part of the content that I wanted to talk about is there are special events that will appear. Let me see if I can show you them. There are these various special scenario based events that can spawn. And what happens is when it spawns, it'll have like a little pop-up on your screen. Or right before it spawns, there's a pop-up on your screen and it says, do you want to participate? And you have to quickly select yes, because it's first come, first serve, and everybody in the area or everybody online can participate. But once you get in, basically you get teleported into a certain area. And sometimes it's either a boss or there's different scenarios. Like there's a fishing event, fishing tournament, so to speak. If you guys played arcades, it's basically like that. Then they have like these other kind of little mini game events that can happen. But yeah, some of them are pretty fun. Some of them are pretty boring. There was one that was kind of cool. It was like you had to defend your kind of area while the enemy faction players would come and attack, and vice versa, right? The enemy faction would try to defend while you had to go and attack them. There's some pretty cool spots. Pretty cool little like mini games you can do from this. These are at specific times, and it normally tells you when it's coming, when it's gonna come on, and you can even reserve a spot for only one specific one, right? And you can like they're called world quests, but they're basically little scenario-based timed events, or scenario-based events that spawn at certain times. But you can like reserve your spot there. Okay. So, I already talked about dimensional portals. We talked about all that. Oh, the other thing I want to talk about now is life skilling. So, life skilling in this game has gathering, fishing, crafting, and trading. So, gathering is pretty simple. Basically, when you craft, you just craft, or when you just gather from these mobs. I really hope this guy doesn't try to attack me. So you just gather from bushes, like little flowers like this, trees in the open world, or mining. When you press F on it, you pretty much, it takes you 5 seconds. But if you press F a second time on that blue little mark, it will actually speed up the process and allow you to gather faster. If you have a pet, you can get a special skill on the pet that will automatically gather for you and also lower the amount of time of gathering. So my pet that I just brought out, this little Ryan, my Ryan cacao pet, basically what he can do is, if I'm grinding in an area, if I'm just driving around or on my mount or running around, if there's anything that can be gathered within 10 meters, he will automatically gather it for me, right? Oh, these are the event quests that I said that spawn in the open world. You see they have an orange thing. Normally they're kill quests. They're in the cities, in the main cities, there are some quests you can get that are event quests that are basically you gotta kill like these golden pigs and stuff, and you can get a bunch of gold from it. So like keep an eye on those, you'll see them. And sometimes when you spawn those, like anybody can actually do it. So yeah, so I'll show you. Look, my pet right here is going to actually pick gather from this because I'm within 10 meters. He's just automatically gonna gather for me. And this one I can do on my own. And if I hit that blue mark, see how it gathered more than, or faster than 5 seconds. So that's kind of gathering in the game. So let's go ahead and talk about crafting. So let's go to the house and we can go with get started on crafting. Fishing, I can show you guys fishing in the game as well. So I'll show you fishing and then we'll go back to housing. Okay, so fishing is pretty straightforward. The biggest thing is you got to be careful fishing in open world. As you can see, these blue orbs are people that have died from AFK fishing. There are a lot of players because there are a lot of players that will go and kill AFK fishers, so you have to be careful of that. Basically, the way fishing works is you equip your fishing rod. Fishing rods have its own equipment slot, so you equip your fishing rod, or have it already equipped. You go into the water to where you're standing in the water, right? If you're a smaller character like me, you got to be careful because it's very easy to just start swimming instead and you won't be able to actually fish. Once you're in the water, you press F and you throw out your fishing rod. Now you wait for fish to actually be caught on your rod. There is AFK fishing in the game, so once you like throw out your rod, you can just go AFK and you'll be fine. Except for players might come in kanky, so you have to be careful. That was a reward. Basically, I completed an achievement, so I can get the reward. So right now I caught a fish, or a fish is on my line. So I press spacebar, and this will come up. Basically, the way this works, I gotta hold spacebar until I get to this little area where it's like light, and I gotta let go. And if I let go in the right area, I catch the fish. That's basically it. And it'll auto recast. And here's your fish. As you can see on the fish tooltip, it says how much the fish weighs. That is kind of important just for ranking systems. Oh no. This guy is too close to the mobs, so he automatically... So he like accidentally picked up the mobs. So this one, as you can see, now it's all the way up here. So it's RNG where it's at. I actually don't... I think I let go a little too early, but I still got it. I got lucky. So fishing works for crafting with alchemy materials. The way that you works is you would salvage the fish, and you get like... Essentially, it's like dried fish or whatever that you can use for crafting. You have your own crafting bag, or like life skill material bag. That has its own equipment slot too, and you can get a better version of it. You can also put your life skill crafting stuff inside of your regular inventory, but because you don't want to like leave it all clunky in your inventory, it's nice to have a bag. You can get better bags with higher inventory slots through crafting or the cash shop. But yeah, so that's fishing. We're gonna go to the house now so I can explain, so I can show you how life skilling works. This game has open world housing, but it also has like instance housing. So the instance housing is free, but if you want open world housing, you can. You just have to purchase it. Like you have to pay an initial fee, and then there's like a tax that you have to pay every... I think it's a weekly tax you have to pay. But when you have it, you can have your own housing in open world, which is kind of cool. I believe there might be a ranking for it. I'm not entirely sure, but it's kind of cool just to have, you know, a lot more area. But yeah, so this is somebody's open world housing right here. So let's go to my house. My house is pretty basic, so don't expect like this beautiful color walls at my house, because it's pretty basic. Alright, so that was fishing, and so now we're going to go ahead and talk about crafting. Crafting is kind of interesting. You definitely, when you craft, you have to do crafting mixed with trading. So the reason why is when you gather, you receive gathering I'll call them gathering materials, right? And when you go from gathering materials, if you want to craft something like an armor piece or a weapon piece, you have to actually craft, before you can make the crafting material you need for the armor or weapon piece or things of that nature, you have to craft trade items with the gathering materials. When you craft trade items, you have a chance, you have like a percent chance, normally like 10 to 5% chance, or even 20% chance, to get the crafting material needed to craft your main items like your weapons, your armor, your elixirs, and all that stuff. Now, when it comes to crafting, there are 3 different types of crafting. There's alchemy. Alchemy allows you to craft elixirs as well as shrine. I call them shrine buffs. Basically, what they are, if you play BDO, they're like house buffs. In your housing area, you have like this little shrine you can put down, and you can put your shrine buffs on this little shrine, and it will give you, it'll like spawn like this little buff that you can use. They have limited uses, so it's not infinite, but when you use it, it'll give you a different buff. Like this one gives me bonus HP, which is pretty nice. There are ones that give you bonus damage and things that help you with life skilling and stuff like that. So that's alchemy. Now, alchemy actually goes hand in hand with fishing. So if you want to do alchemy, you definitely want to level up your fishing. Afterwards, the next one is leatherworking. I guess you can call it. Basically, or armor smithing. You can use it. You craft armor with this life skill. You craft armor, gliders, and bags. These bags here aren't for your regular inventory. They are for your life skill inventory. So pretty much it's a special slot you can equip. And it gives you life skill slots, basically. So all your life skill materials can go into this bag. It can also go into your regular inventory, but this helps you kind of allow you to gather and do life skilling without flooding up your regular inventory. So you can craft better versions of the bags. There's also bags you can buy in the marketplace, or not, sorry, not marketplace, but better versions you can buy in the with the cash shop. And everything you craft, for the most part, can be sold on the marketplace. So, and yes, pretty much the main stuff you're crafting are considerably the in-game or high-end items. So yes, in-game you're gonna be crafting for, you're gonna be able to craft and make some money in-game. So this is the third crafting area, or third crafting life skill, and this is going to be your weaponsmithing, blacksmithing, weaponsmithing. Pretty much you make weapons as well as fishing rods with this. Fishing rods, as you guys know, the name implies, it's for fishing, and then weapons are weapons. You can craft items for any class. It's not locked to the class that you are using. I can select this here, and now it shows me weapons for every class in the game. I do want to mention, in order to craft like the best types of items for all three versions of the life skill, or all three versions of the crafting life skill, you need what's called expertise in that area. So for weapons and weaponsmithing, I need weapon expertise. That includes fishing rods as well. I need expertise in this specific area. You're only allowed to have one expertise per account. So your crafting gets shared. Your crafting EXP gets shared with all your characters on that server, and you're only allowed one expertise per account at a time. You can reset or change your expertise to a different one, but it will cost gold to do so. But that's basically it for crafting. Oh, actually there's a little bit more. So there's a special item, a special guy here. So as I mentioned, the end game crafting, you need expertise. But let's say, you know, you have extra materials that you're not using because you're not, I mean, let's say you have extra materials from alchemy, but you're a weapon smithing expertise, right? So you pretty much have extra materials that's not going to sell on the market, or it's going to sell for kind of cheap or whatnot. There's a special NPC at your housing area that you can actually exchange various different materials and trade items for gold. You also have a thing that's daily. You have to get up to 10. You can do up to 10 exchanges per day to receive bonus turn-in rewards. So all you do is if you have the material, right, you can convert it to, you can exchange it with him. He'll give you gold, and he'll give you this life skill currency. I call it life skill currency. That's basically what it is. Doing things via life skill, you get this currency, and you can purchase different things for your housing area or for upgrading materials. That's basically it. That's literally this. Now, if you look at it, it might not always be worth. For example, this, I would get 3,300 gold for this, but it's giving him 20 of these leaves, right? And if I look on the marketplace, right, these leaves cost me, or these leaves I can sell for about, let's check. I can sell for about 390 a piece, right? So if I do 390 times 20, that's 7,800 gold. Even with the tax, I think it's like a 10% tax. That's still 7,020 gold. I would make more gold if I were just to sell it on the marketplace than selling it to him. So you kind of got to keep an eye on that. Sometimes it's not as profitable. 9,000 gold. Sometimes it can be, but like if you look at this is 20,000 gold a piece. But you got to check the marketplace, because sometimes it might say that, like it might say the last price sold was 20,000, but there's gold sellers in this game, and they transfer gold via the marketplace. So you always got to check. So if you look here, it's actually 1,300 gold per piece. So if I do 1,300 gold per piece times 10, that's 13,000 gold, and here I'd get 10,000 gold. If you think about tax, it's still a little bit better. I'm too lazy to wait on the marketplace though, and I just want to show you guys how this works. So I'm gonna exchange it to this guy. When you exchange it, the slots that you use become empty, and at 10 minutes it'll re-roll another thing. You can also spend gold to re-roll certain things. So let's say like I know I'm never going to use these, I'm never going to be able to, or I'm never going to craft these to turn in. I can re-roll it for something better. Yeah, that's how that works. So I'm just going to turn these in at 3. I just did 3 turn-ins for today, and as you can see, I just received a armor upgrade stone because that's my reward for 3. If I do 2 more, you know, you get 1 free roll as well. There's nothing here that I could just do this easily. On this one, but let's just go ahead and re-roll this. Oh, it's actually the same thing here. We can try to re-roll this one. Let's re-roll this one. Oh, that's 5,000. 2,000. Oh no, that's still not good. Alright, well, I'm done re-rolling because I don't want to waste all my money re-rolling. But that's, you get the gist of this, right? This is your seed vendor. You can buy seeds every day from your seed vendor. If you visit your friend's housing or anybody else's housing, you can use their seed vendor as well. There is housing open world, and in the open world, you can actually use the seed vendors in the open world as well. Basically, the way this works is you can spend some energy to plant a seed. Let's see. I think I might have a seed I could plant. So your housing, as you can see, your housing has like a lot of area where you can plant like different, either mining vein, or you can put it so you can have a farm for like flowers or trees, right? You use the seed vendor, you buy the seeds, and once you buy the seeds, you can now spend energy to plant those seeds. You can also get seeds through gathering in general. When you gather, you have a chance to get you can get seeds as a drop. So let's put this. Oh wait, no. I think I have another. I think it's a flower seed. Yep. So you plant the seed. It costs energy, and after a while, it can grow. You can use actually a water bucket. You can use like this water stuff to make it grow faster. And then afterwards, it'll be done. When it's done, it looks like this. So this is 150% ready. So I can chop my tree, and I receive the gathering max. So that's kind of how that works. So let's go on to trade items. As I told you guys earlier, when you're crafting, you're going to end up crafting a lot of trade items to get your crafting material. So the way it works is, one, sometimes you can just find it on the exchange here and exchange it to him. You can sell your trade items on the market, or some trade items, or you can do this. This is trading in the game. The way that this works is you choose the different trade items you have, and you choose the areas that you want to send it to. Each different area might have a different price for trade items. Every island is only accepting certain trade items, and the more trade items that get traded there, the lower the value becomes, of course. So if I want to trade it, let's say I want to trade it here, right? Because this price is really high. I can choose. It then shows me the different options that it's accepting, or the different items that it's accepting, and there goes my item. So I can click on it. Now here's the thing. If you look on the upper right hand side, there's a text in red, and it says it's in red. It says 25%. That is the chance of failing. So, or a chance of something going wrong. So there's a 25% chance of something going wrong at the base. Now, if I select this option here that's on the left side, this is telling me which ship do I want to take. Each ship has a different maximum amount of trade items that I can send via that ship. And this second line on each of these options in red, that's another chance of failing. So like you have your base rate, and then each ship has its own individual chance. So if you look at these are pretty much all like, at bare minimum, I have a 50-60% chance of failing. So it's definitely not worth doing. Now I can select another area and see. Now if you look here, the base rate is 22% chance of failing, but I have a 10% chance. The yellow on this text, when you look at your ships, is your chance. It gives you a chance of succeeding. So from red is failing, yellow is succeeding. So now it's like, okay, I have a 12% chance basically of failing, but I can only send a maximum of 300 this way. So if I send a maximum of 300 here at this specific island, I will get 93,300 gold. I have to spend 23,812 gold to send it. So that means I'll make about 70,000 gold, give or take. Maybe like, I think it's like 69,000. If we're doing the math, it's like 69,000, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 69,488 or something like that. And if you can like do that math, it's just like, that's how much I spend, or that's how much I'll make sending 300, right? You can go to the different islands and see, like, you know, check the prices, the base rate. So this is like pretty much I'd have a 0% chance of failing. I'd send again 300, but this time around I would make 61,000. Yeah, I'd make like 61,861 gold or something of that. I think it's like that. I think that's how much I make. I'm trying to just make sure I do the math right. It's basically 87,900 minus 16,129. But basically that's how much I would make for 300. Now, the thing is, when you do that, it tells you this. The third line tells you how long it's gonna take. You have to make sure you're here to collect when it's done. If you wait long, the longer that you wait, the longer that it's waiting for you to collect your money, the less money you'll receive, because you have to pay like fees of like of them holding on to the the ship fees or whatever. So because the ship is like stuck parked there until you collect your money. So you definitely don't want to do this overnight. You want to do this while you're crafting, right? So let's say you have a lot of materials to craft. You send some trade items, start crafting, and then after a couple hours when you're done crafting, you go collect the money, send more trade items, and you continue crafting. Or you can do it, you can send it, and then you can still go grind or do whatever you want. Just make sure you're back and ready to collect when it's finished. Otherwise, you're going to lose some of the money that you would make. So that's gathering, life skilling in general. That's basically life skilling in a nutshell. I'm not going to make a special video on it because I don't think it needs to. That's literally all life skilling is right now. At the bottom left, this is your energy that you use to gather or plant seeds. You can get a little bit more through bonuses of rewards. This is kind of like right here, this is like you can do various different various different achievements and different in the different areas, and each specific area will give you bonuses. So it might be bonus EXP, bonus drop rate, bonus you can get extra stamina, you can get extra energy and things of that nature, right? So stamina helps you with running or dashing. So it's really nice to do some of these. Now, to continue on, the other content that I wanted to talk about before PvP are treasure maps. The way treasure maps work are pretty much you right click on when you're grinding, you can get a treasure map, and you go to whichever city that you want to get a treasure map for that specific city. You go to the general goods vendor and you exchange it for an actual treasure map. When you right click on the treasure map, it'll show you where a special treasure is on the map. It'll show you like just a piece of the map and where the special treasure is. It can make you some decent money. Okay, so now that we've talked about all these PvE content, I believe I've talked about all the PvE content there is for the most part. There is also a special bounty that I didn't talk about. I don't think it's going to be in the beta for NAEU, but basically what it is that if you go to certain cities, there are going to be special bounty message boards, and it's going to say, hey, this specific mob is in this specific area. If you guys can kill it, you'll receive some bonus rewards, kind of thing. That's basically it. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you guys are most excited for. Also, I said I was giving away keys. Here's another key right here for those of you guys who actually made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the contents video. And my pet is awesome, dude. My pet honestly randomly starts dancing. Yo, and look at the dances. They're actually kind of like dances I'm familiar with sometimes. But yeah, it's pretty fun. All in all, this game does have a lot of content to it and can be pretty fun. But I think it really depends on the community and the people on your server. If the server isn't active, then you're probably gonna lose a lot of the content because a big portion of it is the option to PvP, in my opinion. and it can get, I guess for me, because I'm a PvPer, it can get pretty boring when there's no PvP available. But yeah, the game itself though I think is pretty fun, and I can't wait to see you guys in beta. And I will see you guys next time. Speaking of beta, bam, here's a third key. So now we got a couple keys just randomly in the video for those of you guys who were able to actually see the keys. Awesome. For those of you guys who were able to get the keys, awesome. I can't wait to play this game with you guys on NA. If you guys are interested in more beta keys though, we'll be giving some out over on the Twitch and over on Twitter and the Discord. So the links of both my Twitch, Discord, and Twitter will be down below, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.